Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation, Cincinnati Bengals website. On YouTube, we are on the Orange and Black Insider. It's us and it's Anthony and John over at OBI. And then on Believe, the Believe Network, our channel is called Believe in Cincy, BLEAV. It's us, it's OBI, it's Matt and Willie No Ball, and then it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. There's pretty much Bengals content every day. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. This is our first show of 2025, the calendar year 2025. I hope everyone had a happy holiday. Kevin, I'm assuming great holiday?
Great holiday. I took a bunch of days off. So yep. I will not be back to work till Monday from Christmas Eve onward. I've been doing absolutely nothing. I've actually been able to sleep in, which I can't remember the last time I slept in on back-to-back days. Feeling great. Feeling absolutely great, which will make Monday absolutely miserable.
Yes,
not only am I going back to work, but I'm going back to work outside, and I guess a blizzard's heading our way. So fun first day for me, but whatever.
Yeah. Do you get snow days? For work?
We're the people who handle snow days.
No, I know.
I work construction, Jason. They'll put me on a truck and take me push a plow around.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, this is the last show of the 2024 NFL season. I hope maybe we'll get to that. The Bengals are heading into Week 18. They have an 8-8 record, and they are heading to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. They have to win to keep their hopes alive. Keep any hope alive to get in the playoffs. If they lose, they're done. But before we get into that, we did want to talk about some breaking news that happened today. It was announced today is Friday. You'll see this show on Saturday morning, but it was announced on Friday that rookie third-round pick wide receiver Jermaine Burton would not be making the trip to Pittsburgh, and it sounded like it was a kind of the same situation as it was Week 13. As something happened, it was a coach's decision. He's a healthy scratch. It's not a health thing. It's a he got in trouble thing. So I know you said we want to talk about it. You had some thoughts. I don't know what else to say, but what else? What are you thinking about it?
I don't have many thoughts. I think I have probably the same thought that most everybody has. At this point, he's off my radar. I've been kind of low-key hoping he figures his stuff out. I've been early on, before all this started, I was a big proponent of the signing. I really, really liked the pick. I thought he has all the physical tools in the world to be a borderline one receiver in this league if we really tried. And with this being the second coach's decision to sit him, he's off my radar. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's off everybody's radar. I could see them cutting him, maybe not this year, but next year, because I think somebody who's really desperate would pick him up off waivers, and it would get that contract off their plate. I think this is probably it, because I've seen no indication that he's going to figure it out. I think if he figures it out, they'd be happy to have him. But I think they've given up on trying to get him right. And I don't sense anything from him that he is making an attempt to get right himself. So,
right. I think that, they knew the warnings and, all the the caution tape around Jermaine Burton before they drafted him. I think that maybe their line of thinking and the line of thinking I was under too is, you have maybe the best wide receiver duo, these two number one wide receivers who are pros. They're getting out of their first contracts. They're veterans. You know what I mean? If he can't mature under their guidance and under their wings, then he's just not going to mature. So I thought, the Week 13 thing, and he said, I'll be ready to go. I'll be ready to go. But if you can't, in this situation, which is Saturday night's a playoff game. I mean, all the last few games have been a playoff game. But Saturday night's a playoff game for them. They're playing a good team, a division rival on the road. If they lose, they're out. And if you can't focus up for that, then what are you going to focus up for? You know what I mean? Yeah. And he hasn't seen any, I don't think he's seen a target in 4 weeks. He's barely getting in on the offense. And the sad thing about it is he's flashed. We've seen what he can do on the field. He does have some talent. But I tend to agree with you. I would not be surprised. I don't know if they cut him because he's so cheap on a rookie contract, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's a prime practice squad candidate if he makes it through waivers next year, something like that. I don't know. I mean, they could just offload his contract and say.
I think they would offload his contract because at this point, here's my reasoning behind it. This is twice now that they've actively chosen not to even make him
Right.
active.
Right.
I don't care how cheap your contract is. If your contract's $20 and you're actively choosing not to make somebody
That's
active,
true.
then it's just wasted money.
Right.
And also I don't trust I don't entirely trust the rumors that there's like a locker room issue going on, but I don't think it is where it was a few years ago. I think there's probably some
Yeah.
tension in that locker room. And somebody like Burton who provides nothing,
Right.
but seems to have an attitude problem, I think would be
Yeah.
somebody they could very well. I'm not saying they will, but if they
Right.
were to cut him, I would not be surprised.
That's a good point. The locker room issues, winning. We say it doesn't feel like it does. Winning cures everything. Everyone's happy when they win. This has been a tough year. They're 8-8. They shouldn't be 8-8. They should be 12-4, whatever. 12-5, something like that. 12-4 heading into week 18. But I think there's probably a lot of tension in there that because of their losing record and because of their the situation they're in, where just there's no wiggle room. You know what I mean? You got to win. You got to win
Yeah.
out. Everything's got to be perfect. And I do kind of agree. I do kind of agree with you that you can't have any sort of distraction in that scenario. And if that's what he's going to be, then yeah. And it's not so much the money. Maybe it's probably the space. We only got a certain amount of roster spots. It's not about the money. It's
Sure.
about the space. So, yeah, I could see this being it for him, at least with the Bengals. I do think that someone else would pick him up or something like that. But super disappointing from a guy that I think that both of us are pretty excited about the potential if it works out for him. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if we're really going to find out what happened. The Bengals are pretty hush hush about everything like that. But still, it's disappointing. One other thing I did want to say about it before we move on is heading into the season, I was flat out saying, and even at midseason, flat out saying, this is it for T. We're done with T. T's not coming back. Now
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure because, the whole firing his agent, hiring Jamar's agent, and then kind of insinuating, like, I'll take less money to stay. Like, I want to stay with Joe. I want to stay with Jamar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that this idea that Jermaine Burton was going to be T. Higgins' replacement next year maybe isn't necessary. You know what I mean? It's a possibility, at least now.
I agree. Yeah. I feel like whether or not he was meant to be T. Higgins' replacement or not, it's still quite quite a blow to the room.
Sure.
I'm much more comfortable with Yoshi as wide receiver 3 than wide receiver 2.
Yep.
And if we re-sign Gesicki, then I'm pretty happy with just the receiver room in general.
Without
it's still a blow. Yeah.
It is.
Here's the last question. This is
Yeah.
I want to see how much of a Bengals fan you are, like an old school Bengals fan.
Okay.
Are you like me where you're almost mad about the T. Higgins situation? Because you feel very much like that there's no way you're going to get what you want and T. Higgins is going to resign. And all they're doing is giving you I accepted that he was gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? I made peace with it. I said, I'm going to enjoy this season. Last time with the trio together, and I'm going to enjoy this. And now I feel like they've given me hope again.
Right.
And I'm almost annoyed at that hope. I'm almost mad about it. Come on, guys.
I know. This incredible game he had against the Broncos, 3 touchdowns, 140 something yards, something like that. I would have been much happier, I think, in the long run, had I left that game with what a great home game for T to go out on. You know what I mean? If I had that mind frame, I think it would be healthier for me than when it inevitably comes down. What do you mean you thought we were going to re-sign him? No.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to take less money. No, we're not paying him and Jamar. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I could see. I think I agree with you. They're kind of setting us up for heartache. But
maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
All the evidence indicates that there's actually a pretty strong push from T. Higgins camp, potentially with Joe Burrow and Chase, kind of at least
right,
a little involved or putting their thumb on the scale, kind of a deal. I don't have hope. I don't with the Bengals. Just long-term fan. You know what I mean? It's just I think it's been beaten out of me a little bit. So if I'm wrong, I will be the happiest man in the world. But we'll see. Evidence indicates I'm probably wrong, but when is the evidence ever?
It's possible. Well, yeah.
Mattered.
The evidence doesn't matter here in Cincinnati. It's I know we're both Dune fans, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, but Paul Atreides says fear is the mind killer. In Cincinnati, hope is the mind killer. That's what it is. Hope drives you crazy in Cincinnati. All right. So the whole point of today's episode is to lay out what exactly needs to happen for the Bengals to play post Week 18. Step one, obviously, win in Pittsburgh. So we'll just stick with that for a second. Pittsburgh has kind of said we're not going to rest our starters. It is possible for Pittsburgh to host a playoff game, but Baltimore would have to lose to the Browns, which I don't think that's going to happen. But Pittsburgh said we're not going to rest our starters.
The spread for the Baltimore Browns game is like
it's nuts.
16 points or something.
I know,
that, dude.
I know.
Like I can't remember exactly what it is, but it is over 2 touchdowns. It is. I don't know if I've ever seen a spread that wide before.
I know. It's nuts, especially in division play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In division play, that's crazy. So step one, beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh on the road, finish the game with 5 straight wins, in the last 2 against playoff teams. And then also, a 5-game win streak's pretty good. It would also force Pittsburgh into going into the postseason with 4 straight losses. So what do you think? Like we don't have to go through position breakdowns and everything like that. I think that this is a different Bengals team in Week 18 than they were in Week 13. A little bit improved. They lost 38-44 last time. Russell Wilson threw for over 400 yards. He has not thrown for over 300 yards any other time this year. What do you think chances are the Bengals go to Pittsburgh and ruin their Saturday night?
I don't know, but I think it's better than not that we win. I'm not going to give you a percentage.
Okay.
I actually think we win this matchup.
Okay.
I think we win this matchup. I think Miami loses their matchup. We'll get to that in a minute. It's just the Chiefs game has so many moving pieces. I can't put it all together. But I think the defense has found itself. They're still not good, but they're not quite the tragedy they were. The Cam Taylor-Britt has settled down a little bit. I think the D-line has stepped up a little bit. Miles Murphy looks better. He doesn't look incredible, but he looks better.
Joseph Osai showing some juice out there on some pass rushing.
Osai is also showing some juice, yes. Which, by the way, this is unrelated. We'll get to this the offseason. He is a priority re-signing for me. He has looked good this year. He is young. He's still younger than most of the edge rushers you get in the draft. He is absolute, and he signed him to a 4-year deal. You could get him cheap, and he will either be a excellent depth piece, or he could end up having plus side starter potential.
Sure.
But that's not what we're talking about. You got me distracted.
Sure. You're good.
But with the defense being better, I think we're gonna win it. What do you think?
Okay. I think the defense is better. I do agree. I think the defensive line improvement has come a lot from some development from McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins, especially McKinley Jackson's really stepped. I think I expected Chris Jenkins to play well immediately. I didn't know what to expect from McKinley Jackson. I think he's done pretty well. I think Jordan Battle going in, pairing Jordan Battle with Geno Stone, the two of them have looked much better at safety than Geno Stone was terrible throughout the first 2/3 of the season. I think the big thing comes in is that the Steelers say it's not win at all costs for us because we can't lay our health on the line. We're playing next week no matter what anyway. You know what I mean? It's not over for them to go all out and to, throw everything and hurt yourself, whatever, in this game would be a tragedy. You know what I mean? Especially when they know Baltimore's already won. They've won the North. What's the point? I expect them to play, but for the Bengals, it is do or die, 100%. And they're kind of backed up against the wall. I think they come out no holds barred. I do see them winning. I do see the Bengals winning on the road. I think it's going to be a close, probably ugly game, like all these games are, all the AFC North games. But I do think the Bengals win. I do. And I think they finish 9-8, and we'll find out what happens to them on Sunday. I do have a quick question for you real quick. If they finish 9-8 and they finish the game with a 5-game win streak and the last 2 teams they beat are playoff teams, whether they go to the playoffs or not, do you forgive and move on the coaches and have the same coaching staff next year that you did this year? Or do you say, no, we got to start, heads got to roll no matter what?
Anarumo would be the only one I would consider getting rid of. I know people don't like Zach Taylor. I also have my issues with Zach Taylor, but I'm not convinced that the replacement is out there. If we could get Ben Johnson, I'd take him. But I'm also not even convinced Ben Johnson and Joe Burrow mesh well as far as the type of football they want to play. I'd still try it because I think he's brilliant. I like what I've seen with pitcher, so I want to keep him. I don't know, man. Anarumo's a hard one. He's a hard nut to crack because you got to blame him, right? You have to blame him because it all ultimately rides on him. And he should have changed up what he was doing earlier in the season. But the flip side is, how long can a unit bleed talent before no one can save it?
Right.
And we've watched talent just walk out the door and never get replaced.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, so it is a tough nut to crack. I think if they lose and they go 8-9, all bets are off. I think guys get fired no matter what. Zach Taylor maybe gets fired. I don't know. If they win, I could see Anarumo hanging on to his job because I do like him, and I agree with you. They just let guys walk out. They just let guys walk. They replaced DJ Reader with Sheldon Rankins, and the hell happened with that? I don't know.
Real quick, do you think this offense is a top 5 offense in football?
Yes.
Then Zach Taylor does not lose his job no matter what.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow mesh well enough that he probably doesn't. I do think if they lose this, Anarumo probably gets fired. That's the highest up you can go. You know what I mean? If they win and they keep Anarumo, are you okay with that?
No.
Okay.
They need to. I think they should mix things up. I think it's time. I think this whole bend don't break style that Anarumo likes to play, I think it's pretty unflexible and it's pretty player dependent. I don't know. I would prefer somebody who plays more aggressive style of defense. But I wouldn't be heartbroken over it either if he stayed, But if I could pick, I think it's time to move on from Anarumo.
Okay. Well, we'll get it. That's another topic for another time. So next game that needs to happen, let's say the Bengals beat the Steelers, like we both think they will. The next game, big thing, is going to be the Dolphins traveling to New York to play the Jets, likely without Tua Tagovailoa. I'm terrible with that name. He's probably going to miss this game. I was really hoping the Browns would do us a solid and beat the Dolphins last week, and they didn't.
Nope.
This game is like kind of weird to me because the Jets don't even have like a full-time head coach and their whole organization's a dumpster fire. But it's a quarterback league. Aaron Rodgers is better than the backup at Miami. I'm positive. And this is maybe his last game in the NFL. Maybe.
Yeah.
Possibly. And I think that they go out with a bang. So I do think the Jets win this, even though the Dolphins are alive and have something to fight for. I just think they're too banged up. This is a bad matchup for the Jets. Have a really good defense. They have the potential to have a good offense. You know what I mean? I see the Jets winning this one. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Well, not 100%, but that's my logic as well. Is I feel like Aaron Rodgers is better than their backup. I feel like the Dolphins without Tua. I mean, you can criticize that team all you want. You can criticize Tua all you want. It's a different team when Tua's playing well.
They're better with him.
It's night and day. It's he might just be a system quarterback. He don't have the arm, but he apparently knows how to run that offense.
Yep.
And I think Rodgers is at least going to try. I think he knows he's done as a Jet.
Yeah.
And a lot you could this is in the worst possible way. He's going to try to go out on a high note because he's petty and he wants to feel like, no, I'm leaving you. You're not leaving me. Like, you know what I mean? You can't fire me. I quit. You know what I mean? Because that's just who he is. Like, and I could see him really putting it all out there. If somebody could slip him just like a handful of Percocets before the game.
I was going to say
just
peyote.
one last. Perk Rodgers, though, man. We got to go back.
There you go.
We got to go back to old school scary Rodgers. That'd be great. See, that's the problem. He's doing peyote. He's doing like mind drugs. You know what I mean? Like, get him on some like prescription strength painkillers and let the man go to work. Like,
He's in there talking about like the distance between stars in the universe and what dark matter is. Instead, he should just be out there going, "I feel nothing but nothing. Let's rock and roll." I think the Jets should win this game. They're not going to throw a victory, or they're not going to throw a game for draft picks. That just really doesn't happen in the NFL very often. I think the Jets win this game. I really do. And then, like you said earlier in the show, that brings us to the big thing, which is the Kansas City Chiefs in Denver against the Broncos. So right now, the Denver Broncos have the number 7 seed. If they win, they are in. Nothing matters. Nothing the Bengals do matters. However, if they lose that game and the Dolphins lose and the Bengals win, the Bengals take that number 7 spot. The issue is the Kansas City Chiefs are playing their backups. They already had the number 1 seed locked up. Had Pittsburgh been able to beat them, it would have been a different story. But they have already said, we're resting Mahomes. They're going to rest Kelsey, probably going to rest most of the guys. They're going to start Carson Wentz. So they're going to go up there with their number 2s and their practice squad guys, and they're going to try, a handful of number 1s that they have to play. And they're going to try to beat a Denver team, a good Denver team at home, who is desperate to stay in the playoffs. So that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
It is. I think this is what keeps us out of the playoffs. I do not think that the Chiefs are going to lose to the Broncos with the amount of talent they're willing to put on the field.
Right.
If you wanted me to spin it, my spin would be Carson Wentz wants a starting job.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have said that the Chiefs don't want us in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? I think the opposite is true. I think that they aren't scared of us. I think that is something we like to tell ourselves because it used to be true. And it's just not the team we are anymore, but we're still trying to be like, man, they don't want to mess with us. They do. They do. And they're fine. They're fine with it.
Everybody
what they
wants
don't want to do is mess with the Bills.
Right.
And I think that the Bengals on a heater have a better chance of beating the Bills than the Broncos do.
I would agree with that. Okay. I have not heard this take at all.
Right?
Okay.
And that's what they want. I'm not saying even we're likely to beat the Bills. I'm simply saying the odds are better that we beat the Bills than the Broncos do. And that would kick their number 1 challenger out of the playoffs.
Right.
And then they go against us or whoever, right?
This has opened up a whole new level of hope for me that's going to destroy my soul on Sunday night. That's what's going to happen. So
now I remember I started this by saying the Broncos are going to win that game.
I didn't listen to that part
in my heart, but if they don't, I think this is a consideration as to why the Chiefs might show up. Carson Wentz wants a starting job, and the Chiefs want us and the Bills to kick each other's ass.
Okay, all right.
In preparation for them winning the Super Bowl again.
Nice. Okay, I hadn't really thought about the Bills in this at all. All right, so I think that I do agree. The whole Carson Wentz has a starting job. You have guys that are on, I'm on the practice squad. I got to go all out. I want to impress somebody. I want to put some good tape out there. Guys on contract years. Any given Sunday, who knows? Maybe Denver goes out there and just pisses down their leg. It's possible. Weirder things have happened before. I do want to piggyback off of what you said. I don't like the idea. There's this huge narrative online of like, oh yeah, the Chiefs don't want the Bengals. They don't want Joe Burrow. The Chiefs are 15-1 and do not give a shit about Joe Burrow. They don't give a shit about the Bengals. They don't give a shit about Cincinnati at all. No. That team full of professional athletes at the height of their game are so confident, other than it's one team that beat them, right? The Bills.
Yeah.
Other than the Bills. They're so confident they just don't care about Cincinnati at all. There's no reason to, right? There's no reason to. But the Bills thing, that kind of throws up maybe they don't want to deal with Josh Allen. Maybe they would like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow to beat up on each other before Patrick Mahomes has to deal with either one of them. That would be cool, man. Right? Yeah, that would be cool. I like that. It's not
at the very least, the Bengals are going to make the Bills offense go all out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to put it all on the field. They're going to do it over and over and over and over again. And that's the kind of thing you want if you're the Chiefs and you're trying to get the Bills wore down before.
Yep.
That's
true. That is true.
That's very true. There's your hope. There's a little nugget of hope, and go ahead and text me and curse me out when we just.
That's like an Inception kind of thing. It's like an Inception thing that you're doing. It's not even like really saying you don't want Joe Burrow. It's just playing that like you don't really want Josh Allen is what you don't want.
That's right.
Take Joe Burrow, buddy. Oh yeah, I Carson Wentz was great with the Eagles. He kind of got Drew Bledsoe there. He was great with the Eagles, and he got hurt and just kind of lost his job. If he shows up, I mean, these are NFL players. The talent's there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't think the Chiefs, if they're in the position to score a game-winning field goal, I don't think they'll take a knee to lose on purpose. I think they'll take the win. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see that happen. What I personally see happening is the backups go out there and they just get outclassed. Is the Denver's, they're going to be your number 17. If it does happen where the Bengals get in, I'm going to have a hard time not saying it's destiny. It's destiny. It's going to happen this year. It has to happen, But I think their chances of getting in realistically are probably less.
Hey, if we get in, it's all back to zero, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's back at zero.
That is true. It is. They were better on the road than they have been at home this year, anyway. So,
there you go.
Realistically, mathematically, I know you said you didn't want to say what the chances were, but just real quick, I personally say it's like 8%, less than 10, maybe more than 5, but no more than that. Are you kind of in that same ballpark?
I'm like double that, but that's like 15-ish.
Yeah.
You know
Still
what I mean?
Probably not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the odds that we beat the Steelers are probably a little higher than other people think. I think the odds that the Chiefs beat the Broncos is a little higher than I think most people think. I don't think either one's I don't think the Chiefs one is likely, but I think I have probably a little more optimism than most. But it still only works out to like 15-20%. I mean, 20% would be me being a real homer about it.
Right.
But hey, believing is more fun than not. How do you want to watch football for the next 2 days? You want to watch football for the next 2 days just starting, it's all going to come crumbling down? Or do you want to be like, one last push, let's believe? I mean, like I said, I think I said something about this a little bit last time we recorded, but I'm kind of done with the doom and gloom aspect of this. I am not going to spend the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase years being upset and rooting for losses and not cheering for the possibility that we get to see them go out there and do superstar shit. I'm done with it. I'm gonna root for the impossible to happen. And when it doesn't, well, it was probably still fun football because Burrow and Chase, it's always fun football.
Yep. That is true. They are capable of things that I just didn't think, you know what I mean? Just the stuff that they can do together is amazing. And then when you throw T. Higgins in there, it's even crazier. Yeah, man, you got anything else?
No, that's it. When we record next, Hey,
hopefully we'll be breaking down playoffs.
When we record next, we'll be talking about the Bengals' first playoff game.
I like it. Let's do it. When we record
next, I do have one more thing. One more thing. Do you think Burrow's going to play the Pro Bowl?
No.
I don't either. But he should. It'd be good for his image. He's not very approachable.
I know. I think that Burrow is...
If he doesn't make the playoffs.
If he doesn't make the playoffs, I think Burrow's too cool for school, if that makes sense. I don't think he'll go because he's like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
which I think he should go. He should go, but I don't see him doing it. That's just me. Maybe we could be totally wrong. I don't know the guy.
Women love him. Men love him. If he was just 15% more approachable, he'd be the only football player you ever saw on television again.
He'd be the president.
Like commercials and stuff. Yeah.
They'd pull him out of the NFL. They'd put him out of the NFL, and they'd say, "No, you're in charge of the free world now. You're the president of the United States." That's all they do.
Yep,
100%.
Needs to be 15-20% more coachable, more approachable.
He can lead the human race. All right. Once again, on YouTube, we're on OBI, Orange and Black Insider, which is us, and then John and Anthony over at OBI. And then on the Believe Network, the channel is called Believe in Cincy. It's us, it's OBI, it's Matt and Willie No Ball, and it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much for joining us, and Hoo Day.
Hoo Day.